Welcome to another training session with My Easy Schedule. Today we're going to be covering how to create a budget and how to write a schedule and some of the things that we can do in between to make sure that we take good care of our program and maintain it accordingly. So we covered how to create a new department, how to work with the employee files. So today we're going to worry about budgets and schedules. So this is a pretty long session, so I'll get right into it. To create a budget for the week, system is already programmed to know exactly what your budget week start date is. So here, make sure you always choose to go to Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, any other browser other than Internet Explorer. So we do not support Internet Explorer because of all the ability to be hacked. So we try to stay away from those situations. So this is a store. We're going to choose Yummy Foods store number one. We're going to create a brand new budget for the week uh, that is going to start. So to create a budget, you saw me go to, here, let's go here again. Create a new budget. You can choose if you have multiple stores, you're able to choose which store you want to go to. The week beginning, I know we've got this one set for uh, Sundays. So if you choose a wrong date, a error message will pop right here. So what this is asking for you to do is to create a budget for the upcoming week, not the week that you're currently in, week worth of sales. So we're just going to say this store is going to do $150,000. And for the sake of this demo, I'm not going to copy the distributions. So what does distribution mean? So let's, as the budget comes up, as you see here, these are all the departments that are within the store. We allocate here where we want those wages to come from. Now, different stores, different operations have different methods of allocation. So all this is saying is right now, all the grocery employees, their wages will be directed towards grocery. Cashiers, on the other hand, they tend to be a store budget. So if you look over here, it says $150,000. We always have a default department, and always in the grocery store environment, it is a grocery department. That's the largest distribution. What that means is the largest number of dollars in the store sales for this week will come out of the grocery department. Floral is usually a part of a produce department. Frozen is usually grocery budget, or if you had a large frozen food department, you might want to set it as a part of your um, grocery or part of a department on its own. So here we're going to say laundry is part of the store budget because that's an expense. Managers, that should be part of the store budget. So all you're doing is allocating where are all these wages. Meat carving station is going to come out of the meat market. If you had a butcher block or something other than that, so deli bakery is usually its own department. GMHBA, let's just say it's part of the grocery, and produce is usually its own department. So you see, out of all this, all the dollars came out of these areas. So now we're going to set the distribution. Distribution is a percentage of sales these departments represent. So meat market usually represents, I'm going to say, about 23% of the total store sales. So you see that number is $34,500, 23% of $150,000. It is that quick. Deli bakery, we're going to say this one is a really good 12% of total store sales. And produce is actually, we're going to say it represents probably, this is a good produce department 16%. So once we put that in, we're we're going to go look at all the number. We're going to say create the budget. Create budget, all it does is puts the budget in here, and you can go back to this budget anytime. So we're going to focus on 322. Go edit the budget if you just want to look at it. This number can be changed at any time. You can change distributions, you can change any of this at any given time. Just make sure you choose this setup here. So you saw that we left it in draft mode. If you're creating budgets ahead of time, say you're creating it for a quarter or for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, this program will set it. You can create it for a whole year if you choose to. But what we ask you to do is, as it gets closer to the week, you go ahead and take the draft to publish status. Publish status means you're just committed to that number. You feel like this is on target with your sales pattern, and this will represent a pretty good bit of what's going on with what's going on in your stores. So that's what creating the budget looks like. It's running a little slow today, but we're on our development server, which means this is just a store that we created. This is a program we created, a store and a chain, so we can show people how to do it. So if you wanted to go look at what was happening, let's go examine the numbers. So as you saw, we had a default department. Now it's saying, based on all the distributions here, grocery is going to represent 49% or $73,500. The produce budget is 24,000. Remember when we set floral to that, so their labor will be coming off of that percent, and that's the sales that they're going to be going to. Same thing with frozen. You saw the 49 here, so the 49, same number here. So when you see 100%, all that's saying is their labor is going to go against that $150,000. So 23,000. So we're going to focus on this department. So when we write a schedule, remember this number. What this program does is virtually writes a virtual schedule in the background. So when you get ready, the department manager, so in this case, there's going to be a department manager, meat market, produce, maybe a grocery department guy that's going to write the schedules. When they sit down to write the schedules, these budget numbers that you've chosen will be automatically populated in their schedule. So that's what we do there. To create a new week's worth of budget, so if you wanted to create another week's budget, all you do is click new. There's something different about this one that we're going to do. We're going to go to the 29th. We're going to say this is going to be a big week. And we're going to copy the distribution so you don't have to do what we did there to begin with. In other words, all those distribution percentages that we chose, see, it all stayed. All these numbers are same, but their actual dollar amounts are different because we changed the dollar amount. We'll do another one just so that we can get the hang of it. To create a new, you notice that I left it in draft mode because I'm not really committed to that $165,000 amount yet. But as the weeks get closer, I'll be able to commit a little bit better. So you go to the next week. And copy the distribution. So that's how easy it is to create a budget. Usually I'll just create budgets and leave them in draft mode except for the week that I'm getting ready to do. So what this means is this is for the week beginning of that. This is my number. We've already published it because we believe that's a good number. If you ever wanted to go edit that budget, you can go click here and go edit this amount. So if you wanted to print this budget detail, you'd be able to do so. But right now we don't need to. So to create a schedule, this program is very intuitive in how it moves within the program. So to create a schedule, as simple as you go here you'll see a lot of schedules that we created in the past. This is all training purposes only. So you can go here. If you're the meat market guy, you'll only have the meat market as an option here. So we're going to choose the week of 322, and we're going to copy. So you see here you have 4, 5, 6 weeks worth of schedule, or 5 weeks worth of schedule that you can copy that closely represents that the week that you're going into. So what that means is, instead of having to rewrite and re-put everybody in, you're able to copy a schedule from previous and create a schedule. So what this means is, see, the schedule's already populated. Now you have to go edit this because the numbers won't match. So we're going to go ahead and take this off, and we'll come back and talk about all this here in just a minute. So there's that $34,500 automatically populated. Here you'll have to put in your target labor percent. Let's say your budgeted labor percent that's given to you by your corporate office is 6.5 is your target. So what that means is 6.5% of this is your labor dollars. This is a number of dollars you can spend to commit to a week worth of sales. So what it's actually saying is, to do $34,500, you can spend $2,242.50 in labor dollars. Now we're going to figure out what you can spend for number of hours. So your target number that's given to you by your corporate office is 230 is your sales per man hour. You have to put this in every week so you can get the number of hours. So with this created, we are able to go ahead and save schedule. So if you just save this, it'll only save this amount. So I always go to the bottom of the page, save schedule and budget. So we saved it. It told you it saved it as a draft. So what this means is, current schedule that's written, which we still have to go edit, it's written rather simply. It tells you they've used 147. This is a dollar spent, so it's much better. The scheduled dollar rate is its average hourly rate is that. Their labor percent is 4.7, and their average sales per man hour. This is for this schedule that we just copied over. Remember, we're not committing to this. We're going to have to come and edit this. So we're finished with that part. So I will also go over here. There's an opportunity, if you think that the week that you're going in, somebody overlooked the fact you might have a 3-day sale, you might have a special event going on in your store that you didn't or did predict, but you think you're going to do more than that budgeted amount. We're going to say you're going to do 37.5. So what you've done here, you've overridden your original budget of 34,000 by, well, $37,500. So based on this, now none of this top numbers matter, because now it's saying you can spend this amount, you can have this many hours based on the fact that you've overridden what's already there. So you can actually spend a little bit more hours. So when you're editing, usually in a schedule like this, you can actually see that the people are not in alphabetical order. Your store employees or market employees are in order of, I usually like to put it in the order of manager, assistant manager, maybe somebody who's going to do the lunch meat counter, if you have a meat person that's doing the carving station, however you want to do it. To move them up and down, we're just going to say Raymond is the manager, Brenda is the assistant. So to move Anna, she's our mid person. She's the one that we count on to make sure everything is cleaned up, taken care of, as the store is taken care of. We just want to make sure that we move her up into slot. So once you leave, and Donald is the next one. So this is kind of a hierarchical structure, or to use slang, is a pecking order within the department. So Raymond's the manager, she's the assistant. This person is kind of like a shift leader. She goes into and takes care of everything that's left and makes sure the night closing duties are met up to standards. Let's just say John is the next person. And once we get through doing that, we'll save the schedule and budget. What that does is it just saves the format. So we know on Thursdays, John is loaned out. To loan an employee out, you just choose what department they belong to. Let's say he is going to be a cashier, and you're going to loan him out. What that does is it moves his hours. And to write a schedule, this is true for any area, okay? So what we do is just put 6A dash 11A, assuming that your store wants you to put a lunch in. So 12P to 3P. Now, if there was any overlap of hours, the program wouldn't allow you to schedule. So, see, these numbers didn't change. Now, if we go to the cashier department, you will see John Davis on the very top because we just loaned him out to that department. You can loan out an employee as many times as you want, but it has to be loaned out before the schedule is completely written for the following week. So if you already know that Donald is going to be working in grocery, you're going to loan him out and he's going to be working from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., then from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. So what they're saying is we're going to be working from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., then take a lunch. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they have to take a lunch at this time. All this means is there's a lunch planned for that day, depending on how busy you are. Sometimes at 5 o'clock, you really can't afford to take a lunch. So this right here just says that you're able to let Donald take a lunch, an hour lunch. That's all it means. The time frame is just for you to recognize how much time he's supposed to take. So this gives you a brief idea to write a schedule. So we have to go and um, add some hours here. To add hours, all you do is to take out hours, you just highlight and delete. It's much easier to do this. Usually it's part-time as is most affected. Let's see, he is going to help, so he's going to have to be changed from 3 to 9. 2 to 9, I'm sorry. So instead of having to do this over and over again, you can go in and highlight it, right click and copy, and just like you do in Excel, choose paste. Okay, so these days are taken care of. That's how easy it is to write a schedule. And we're going to save the schedule and budget. Now see, those numbers did increase as we were adding hours to this schedule for the default department, but as we loaned them out to the other departments, these numbers didn't add. So to look at what this is looking like, he's saying that we can use 163 hours. We used 161. I would always tend to look at this number. You can never go over that number. If you do, the store manager might look at this schedule and say, hey, you need to go and take a few hours off. So I try to stay within this limitation. Your actual hours, when the sales start loading in, your hours will fill in here as actual week. We're the only ones in the nation that will do a schedule like what we're used to seeing. So here's what your scheduled hours are. And when your actual numbers come in, they'll show up right here. And this is also where you edit an employee's hours, time clock hours. So, and this right here is a variance between scheduled and actual. So you can see on a running total what this looks like as you're writing a schedule and as the week is progressing. There's a couple of things I want to go over before we leave the scheduling page. You also will see on we run our stores on a day-to-day basis. On Sunday, when you come in Monday morning, you'll see actual total scheduled hours and actual hours. This gives you an opportunity to look at what happened here, and it gives you a week's worth of time if you're over here to get rid of those hours. If you're under, you're in great shape. So what we're trying to do, this is your target number, and we're trying to keep it in that area. If at all possible, if there's a special sale going on, well, then it'll be hard to do so. So that's how you write a schedule. You move people around. You can, you know, just highlight and delete if you want to delete some hours. And also, if you don't have coverage, this totals at the bottom of the page. You know that's not right. You know that's not right. So we have to fix those days. So that's why we say you manage daily. So this gives you an opportunity to manage your schedule on a daily basis. Here, you see the department budget. This is what we're calling managing the right side. This gives you an opportunity to go look at everything as your budgeted numbers are. Once sales starts filling in, you'll be able to go see exactly how many employees the program is saying you need on a daily basis. So when I'm writing a schedule, you see the start date is 322, 322. And once the sales starts populating, it'll tell you how many employees you need per hour. Now, for the fresh departments, it's really hard to determine how many employees you need, especially in the morning time. Sometimes they'll say zero point zero 0.08, 0.07. You know, you're going to have to have one person that comes in to pull, you know, they have special duties that has to happen. So for the produce, meat, baker deli, so it's going to be hard to kind of gauge, but you already know between 6 and 8 exactly how number of employees you need. But you're able to taper back as the day goes on, and you have to be a little bit more of a decision maker. Sometimes it'll say based on your numbers, it'll say that you need more employees between 9 and 12 because the volume of sales will be higher. You have to also temper that. But this gives you a good idea as you're going through this process how many employees you need. So it says 230. You can override that amount. This is kind of a tricky. If you want 20% more employees, if you think you're going to say, let's say we're going to go to Thursday, Friday, Saturday because you have 3 day sale. So on Thursday, you're going to do 20% more. If you put in 120%, that just means 100% plus 20% more. That gives you 20% more employees, and it'll show up the total amount here. So it'll actually take this number, increase it by 20, and tells you how many more employees you're supposed to use. And it works same way in reverse. If you wanted 25% less, you just put in 75, and then it'll give you 25% less employees on this side. So to get to this, all you do is click that. If you want to get to the department numbers, budget numbers, here's that. If you want to get forecasted sales and see how many employees you need, and it's based on your week. So when you're doing Sunday, I would have Sunday's day open, and this will become second nature to you after a while to just have this open and override this number if that's what you choose to do. So that is how you write a schedule. You managing the right side. You're overriding cells. This is a must here. This is a must every week. You got to put that in. So that gives you a total number of hours that you can use, number of sales, how many dollars you're supposed to spend. This gives you a better idea of what your week is going to look like if you pay attention to this part of the schedule writing process. It is a process. It is something that you're going to have to get used to because this will actually end up saving you number of hours, number of dollars, and there are other tricks that we'll show you as we get along in the process on how to maximize what's going on within your program. So I'm going to go ahead and save everything that we did. We showed you how to create a new schedule, how to copy a schedule from previous so you don't have to rewrite everybody's schedule, how to look for the number of hours, how to move people around, what this number means, what that means. This sales per man hour target number comes from your store supervisor or store owner. So make sure you get these numbers that you can populate these fields as you start. This is an override of this sales. So it also works in the reverse if you wanted to do 32,000. These numbers will change accordingly. So just for the sake of this, I'm just going to put those numbers back to where this should be. All the numbers should equal now. And we're going to save this. I'm going to show you a couple more things in schedule. So as you're writing a schedule, there are a couple of key areas we need you to look at. Number one is looking at coverage. You go to schedules page, this view coverage dashboard will come up. Click on that and it'll, based on your schedule, you will see, I'm going to go back a couple of, I know there's some numbers that are loaded in here. So I had to go back really far to find the schedule that's populated. So what this means when you hit the coverage button is tells you how many employees you have on schedule for that day. And it is by day, and you can go see if you have ample coverage for the day. So this meat market has got coverage from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. And same thing with cashiers, you got them all the way till 10 o'clock, depending on when you have manager coverage. But if you look down here, there is absolutely no produce coverage at all. And that's what the little tool tip is telling you, that you don't have anybody at all scheduled. So store managers, before you get ready to publish a schedule, be sure to go and look at this coverage sheet. So I'll go back to schedules, and you look at this area right here. So we just covered how to go look at the coverage. Another area we really need to look at is view overtime. So when you click this button, it'll take you to this area. What this does is, for a store manager, it'll give you the whole store's view. This is by day, and if you're a meat market guy, if you just want to see what your meat market, if you just have a few employees, this will tell you what's happening. So let's look at this. So what this is saying is that the store, this employee was scheduled for 7.5 hours, but they actually worked 7.54 hours. So this is scheduled, this is actual. There's a 24-minute overtime, and total for the day is 7.54 hours instead of 7.5. So as the week goes on, this gives you an opportunity to trim those 24 minutes off before you get to Saturday. It's already too late. That might be into overtime, like in this case. Lisa was supposed to work 8 hours, so she did what she supposed to. She worked exactly what she was. But here she was supposed to work in anything in red should send a flag saying that there's something, there's an anomaly, there's something different. So what this means is she was scheduled for 8.38 hours. She actually went 0.38 minutes over. And based on this, she's going to be into overtime. So she's actually scheduled for this number of hours. But what this program is saying is, if it's in red, if they're supposed to work 48 hours, it doesn't matter. The program's still going to put it in the red. And it's anything over 40 is going to see as an issue. So what this means is they're going to be over, gives you a chance to, before the end of the week, to trim those hours off before you get to the end of the week and find out you don't have anybody to work. So this tells you a lot about what's going on within your store. This is one area when employees request time off. Make sure you look at that. That tells you what's going on with your store. This employee's asked for 40 hours. It's vacation time. Rebecca is an employee. And it's your duty, really, to make sure that we approve it or decline it. Once you approve it or decline it, the employee that's in question here, she'll get an email or text message whether their time off is being approved or denied. So make sure you look at these areas within the program. These are three of the main areas which we call 5-minute manager areas. 5-minute manager areas we'll get into a little deeper. There's actually a handout based on all this. But this is just a quick overview of what each department manager should do. It's our responsibility, plus the store manager's responsibility, to view these. Eventually, if you have all your employees put their time off requests in here, then you don't have all those pieces of paper hanging all around. And also, this will set a time and a date whenever they ask. So if there's an occurrence and everybody wants to have that day off, you can choose first come, first serve based on the time that they put this information in. So here you'll be able to see clocked in users. If you're a manager, before you want to go home, you want to make sure that you want to see how many employees are working in your department. You can actually go and see the people that are on duty. This is what the currently clocked in users will tell you: who it is, what their scheduled hours are, and what they clocked in. And it gives you this information at any time. Since this program is web-based, you're able to go and look at this at any time from any computer that you might be close to. So we wanted to just bring this up to you. So to bring this training video, which would be training part 2, budgets and schedules, this will bring it all into view as far as kind of what we've talked about. We talked about how to create a new budget, how to edit a budget, how to set the distributions in the department. We also talked about scheduling, how to properly schedule, how to create a schedule, copy a schedule from previous weeks, how to move people around in your schedule. So if you want to go back to an already created schedule, you can click on that and it'll take you back to a previously created schedule. Then you can see exactly what's going on, and you're able to see if the who worked when, and loan outs and all that information. There are more videos to be coming. I appreciate you taking your time to watch this video, and hope you find this very, very helpful. To me, it's much better if I can see what to do, which steps to go to, and how to positively affect what's going on within this program. Then it makes it much, much easier for me to navigate through and get maximum productivity for this program. Thanks for watching. See you on the next training video.